welcome back to my channel. I am going to be planting up a not so beautiful plant at the moment, but I hope that it will become established in its spot and do very well in the location that I plan to put it in. Please make sure to like and subscribe and share with your friends after watching the video. So today we are going to be planting up a Limelight Hydrangea. If you are unfamiliar with Limelight Hydrangeas or hydrangeas in general, they can be a more finicky plant in my area because we are so hot. I live in Northern California, Zone 9B. It does get pretty hot for this plant. However, panicle hydrangeas do the best, in my opinion, in my area compared to like an arborescent, a big leaf hydrangea, and that has to do with the sun requirements. In our area, they generally or typically do better in a part shade area rather than like a full sun. And this variety is a Limelight Prime by Proven Winners, and it gets, let's see, 4 feet tall, or is up to 6 feet tall and up to 5 feet wide, and it's zones USDA 3 through 8. So according to this like zone chart, the USDA zone, it's not in my zone. However, that only takes into factor the how cold it gets, and we don't ever get that cold. So um, what that also tells me is that it does well in a less hot environment, right? So this is why I'm going to give it a little bit more protection, because it does say light exposure, full sun to part sun. I'm going to err on the part sun side rather than the full sun side. And it features long blooming blooms, which are these beautiful blooms, and they will start to change color towards the fall time to a more rosy shade. They won't get, or I don't expect them to get, that intense deep rose color because we don't get cold enough. But you never know. Each year varies as far as temperature goes. And then they are very cold hardy, and they do have nice vibrant colors. So they usually will flush out and be that lime green, and then they'll fade to like a creamy white. And then from then they'll go on to that rose tone. Um, let's see, they are deciduous if you aren't familiar with hydrangeas. So they will lose all of their leaves, and then you generally want to cut them back. With panicle hydrangeas, they bloom on new wood. So this is great because if you have any deer pressure or animal pressure and they happen to munch on your panicle hydrangea, they will flush out and you're guaranteed to get blooms, unlike some older varieties or like the big leaf varieties of hydrangeas that bloom on old wood. Panicle hydrangeas are great, can be used at least for a privacy hedge, but if you want something that's going to provide you some good coverage year round, maybe steer away from a deciduous option. They look great in hedges, they look great in formal gardens. This area that I'm going to be planting it in, I want to transform it little by little. Hydrangeas are a more expensive plant, so it's something you'd be investing in. I'm a little bit sad that this one doesn't look that cute. I literally left it out one day, and one day without giving it, well, I did give it water, but the sun is just way too intense here, and it got a little bit more sun um, than it should have gotten, and the leaves entirely crisped up and are falling off. It's fine. It'll be fine. It'll bounce back. What I wish would happen is I wish I could find. I live in California, so it's pretty expensive. It's not. I don't expect to find any panicle hydrangeas on clearance, but if you do, this would be a good time to look, because um, for some of the plants that aren't looking so hot in nurseries, sometimes will go on sale. And this would be a good one to check out. See if you can find some on sale and get a good deal. Otherwise, just give it some time, and over I don't expect it even to look good next year. I'd give it a couple of years for it to actually come into its own. And this is one that you're just going to have patience with. If you live in a hotter zone like me, um, as I was saying, the area that I'm planting it in is going to, I want it to be a little bit more formal than what it is right now, which is the area behind me. So, this is the area I'm going to be planting the hydrangea in. As you can see, it is in part shade right now. It primarily gets shade from where the herb planter is on the floor all the way to the pillar that is right here. The rest of the area does get is a more formal part sun. Gets at least, like, I would say between 2, maybe max 4 hours. It depends on the time of the year of sun. Definitely not a full sun area. And this area is a more shady area. It gets dappled sun midday. And also varies based off of how much we prune the tree that is up above. As you can see, I have a little limelight right there, and that one took a major hit. So that was the reason why I'm getting this one. A few reasons why I want to move that is because when I transplanted it into this area that it's in right now, it did not have water, and I didn't realize that until it completely fried. We went on vacation. We were in Europe for like a full 2 weeks, and when I came back, it was utterly fried. And it is pushing out new growth. It is pushing out new growth. So all of that is like new growth, but it is struggling very heavily. And I want to just put it in another area. I'm thinking in the very far right corner where it's going to get a decent amount of shade for it to bounce back. I'll make sure it's connected to drip this time. This is why you should always check your drip irrigation. And we'll cut it back this winter and hope that it bounces back. And then I want hydrangeas that are going to get a little bit bigger than the little lime. The little lime gets max, I think it's supposed to get max up to 5 feet tall. However, again, I live in a very hot environment. They don't necessarily like completely thrive in my zone. Unlike some other areas where they'll get massive and beautiful, big, giant blooms. So I don't trust that it'll get that max size. I think it'll stay on the smaller end. And I want, I can just envision a beautiful limelight hydrangea hedge and them being like at least this tall. And then over here on the far right side, I have bougainvillea, and that plant does not get enough sun, but it does still bloom, and it was already here when we moved in. The trunk is really massive. I almost tried to dig it out one time, and it's kind of like nearly impossible. So I think what I plan on doing is creating an archway between, almost to make it feel like a secret garden. Create an archway to go over, connect to the tree, and then come down on this side. And then also, I have a wire that's going all the way up, and I'm going to start training it going that way. So eventually, it will get where I want it to be. But I like the idea of having grasses like this purple. I like the idea of having grasses where the pillars are, and then a full hydrangea hedge going across here and along the other side on that side of the wall. And maybe eventually, just depending on how these hydrangeas do, um, maybe stretching them and placing them in other areas. But again, hydrangeas are an investment, not cheap plants. So we're going to buy little by little. So this will not be instant impact, but I hope you follow along for the rest of the video and see how this little area can transform bit by bit. I just got these off of Amazon, so I'll make sure to let you guys know how I like them. But so far, so good. They're really nice and like thick. And I like them because we have this, and then we also have the bougainvillea, and we also have a lot of roses on our property. The and I got, I think, a small or medium. They are a little wonky, like this. Like my finger doesn't do like that, but I mean it's Amazon, and I didn't want a super expensive pair because I feel like I run through gloves very, very, very quickly. So I've attached a oh, what is it called? It's one of the metal wires that's the double layer. You can find it at any big box store. And I've attached it from the nail that I have on that side. It's a masonry nail, so it should withstand the weight. And then I've looped it around the tree, around a branch, so that way it doesn't droop. And I'm going to cut back whatever doesn't work, and then I'll train whatever I can onto the little wire. Well, that brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. See you next time.